Hello property enthusiasts, it's Jessica again. I'm back for another episode for the most in-demand districts in Singapore where many expats and locals love to have their home at. Guess where? I'll give you a hint. We're very near the coast. Yes, in this 6th episode, let us explore Marine Parade. So, if you've ever wondered what's so good about staying at the East Coast area, especially for you Westsiders, let me bring you around to see some sides of this district that you might not be so familiar about. Ready? Let's go! When we mention Marine Parade, the first thing that comes to most people's minds will be the East Coast Park. So today, we'll be touring around a stretch of this idyllic park, but more inland, specifically the properties that offer great sea views. Before we continue, I really would appreciate a like and subscribe to my channel, especially if you like to watch such content. Help me out, can? Anyway, back to this video. Like the previous one, I did a bit of research about the history of this district. Well, Marine Parade doesn't have a very long history. It started as a scenic beach during the colonial times, but during World War II, this place was severely damaged, so much so that a nearby road was in danger of collapsing into the sea. So, in 1952, the government rejuvenated the place by turning it back into a seaside promenade. This attracted wealthy Eurasians and Peranakans, which you can find a lot of traces of their culture here today still. By 1966, Marine Parade received its first public housing built entirely on reclaimed land. That was also when East Coast Park and the ECP Expressway came into life. So, are you surprised that we're actually standing on reclaimed land back from the 60s? Well, today, Marine Parade is a self-sufficient estate built with commercial, leisure facilities, and residential. But even with its modernity, we can still very easily find much of the historical culture here. One such example is the Katong Laksa, which has its roots here. If we talk about Marine Parade by itself, it's not really a very big district because it's flanked by Siglap, Bedok, Geylang, and Kallang. So for the purpose of this video, we'll mainly be focusing on the area that's encompassed between Tanjong Katong Road South at the west to the Siglap Canal right beside the Victoria JC is situated. But even within this small piece of land, we can still find some 8,000 HDB flats, at least 50 to 60 condo developments and scores of landed properties. But there's one class of properties here that many property investors are eyeing, and that's the shophouses. I'll show you a few of all these classes of properties later. But now, let's discover why people love to stay here in the East. I guess the first reason has to be the unique culture here. At Holland V, where we were in the previous episode, people love there for the European vibes. At Robertson Quay, it's all about riverside living. And in Tanjong Pagar, the defining factor is surely the hustle and bustle of the CBD. Here at Marine Parade is seaside living with a Peranakan flavour. So, walking around the East Coast Road, we can easily find these shophouses, many of which still carries the Peranakan design. Even when we don't look at the architecture, the food here also constantly reminds us of the heritage, specifically the Katong Laksa made famous by Drak Sui and his Peranakan wife, Janggut, selling the original Katong Laksa back in the 40s, serving it from metal buckets carried on the wooden pole across their shoulders. And so, this brings us to the second advantage, the amenities in the area, particularly the food. Now, like I mentioned earlier, a stroll along East Coast Road will make you hungry. There must be hundreds of eateries lined up here, with easily more than half of them being really good. I have no fortune of visiting many of them, but allow me to share a few that either my hubby or I have eaten before and can vouch for them being good. First up is El Forno, a pizzeria along East Coast Road. A client tweeted us a few years back and I couldn't forget how smoky the pizzas are. Then there's Neptune with their signature green exterior. We shot at this restaurant once, but what I remember more is their bread, which is oh so nice. But there are so many other restaurants, so I'll just do a quick fire mention. Okay, there's Pongo Nasi Lemak that needs no introduction. Madeline's original Portuguese egg tart, which is technically not at East Coast Road. Same with Dona Mani's cake shop. There's also 2 chicken rice stalls to recommend, Katong Mainway at the basement of Katong Shopping Centre and 5 Star, which is very similar to Buntung Quay. And lastly, who won't recommend either 3 to 8 katong laksa, which incidentally isn't the original laksa, or janggut laksa across the road, which is supposed to be the original. And I've just started and haven't moved outside East Coast Road yet, because there's also the Marine Parade Central Food Centre, which has a famous char kway teow store. Don't know if it's still there. And further away is the Old Airport Road Food Centre, which is widely considered to be one of the best hawker centres in Singapore. Oh, how can we forget the East Coast Lagoon Food Village? My hubby and I frequent there for the barbecue pork noodles and the mutton satay at stall 50. Okay, by now you should understand why the best food are in the East, particularly at the Marine Parade East Coast area, right? But aside from just food, what else are there to do here? Well, plenty. If you are looking to shop, there's the more notable Katong I-12, aside from all the dozens of smaller and older shopping centres there. But the flagship mall has to be Parkway Parade, which has just about everything save from a cinema. School-wise, we have some of the most popular ones here too, like Tao Nan, Dunman High, Victoria School, CHIJ Katong Convent, and some super preschools like Pets and Odyssey, which anyone will definitely see when they drive along Steel Road. There are also a few well-regarded international schools here favoured by expats, such as Eaton House International School and East International Preschool. Tuition centres wise, Marine Parade is like an epicenter of this in the East, with hundreds of them situated at Parkway Parade, Marine Parade Central, Roxy Square, Eastgate, and various other buildings. Still, on amenities, how can we tour around Marine Parade without discovering the East Coast Park? This world-famous park stretches 15 km from the airport to Kallang Riverside, and this is where you'll find even more places to dine, including the Singaporean favourite McDonald's East Coast. For me, East Coast Park is where my family and I do our 10,000 step walk frequently, so this place really has a place in my heart. Okay, enough of the amenities. Let's talk about the third reason for staying at Marine Parade, the location. Marine Parade is technically not within the RCR, but a very small portion of it at where the Silver Sea condo and Westwood is. Regardless, you are still less than 10 minutes of driving to the CBD and Orchard Road, and around 7 minutes away to Paya Lebar. But if the airport is your frequent destination, know that we are also 5 to 7 minutes away too. Train-wise, the Marine Terrace, Marine Parade and Tanjong Katong MRT stations, which were just about to open by the time this video publishes, would bring commuters to Marina Bay, Shenton Way, Orchard, Woodlands and all the way to JB in a few years along the Brown-Thompson East Coast Line. So, with these three reasons, I can understand the appeal of Marine Parade to foreigners and locals who prefer the more idyllic and relaxed vibes that's more about the finer things in life, like food, recreation and education. So now, where should you be staying in Marine Parade? Well, as mentioned, by itself, Marine Parade isn't a big district, but we still can find HDBs, condos, landed and shophouses. Let me start with the landed properties. There are no shortage of landed houses available for sale here, especially if we go north a bit into Telok Kurau. For instance, this rather contemporary-looking inter-terrace house, which is around 1,700 square feet in size, is asking for below 4 million. If your budget is somewhat higher, there's this nicely ID'd terrace unit that's slightly bigger at around 1,900 square feet, asking for 5.3 million. Again, do note that landed properties are eligible for purchase by Singaporeans only. Foreigners can only buy strata titles properties like condos. And fortunately, we are not short of condos in Marine Parade. Let me start with one condo project that I personally like a lot, Silver Sea. It's near to Parkway Parade and the design is pretty nice. Prices have gone up substantially here because I remember when I viewed this during launch, the single-level super huge 4-bedroom unit was asking for around 4 million. Today, that same unit type is asking for 5.3 million. Even this smaller 3-bedroom unit that's tastefully done up is asking for 3.38 million. I mean, that's a lot of money for a 3-bedroom apartment in the East. That's why I thought that the new projects could be more worth it. There are a couple that were launched last year, starting with the Continuum, which is a freehold development to be TOP in 2027. This development has 1 bedroom all the way up to 5 bedrooms for sale still. Comparing to the older condos, the 3-bedroom unit here starts from 2.3 million only. Although size-wise, the apartments here are much smaller. But if you don't need that much space, this is a worthwhile price. Next, there's Tembusu brand. That's a few minutes away. This project will TOP in 2028 and has 1 bedroom plus study units to penthouses still for sale too. What I like about this project is the facilities, which are plentiful. Prices are a little higher than those at the Continuum, though with a 3-bedroom unit starting from 2.5 million. And lastly, there's the best-selling project out of the 3. In fact, Grand Diamond was a best-selling project in 2023, and already more than 50% of the units were sold on the launch weekend. That's because prices here start from 2,100 plus per square feet only. It's considered a mega project with 1,008 residential units in this development, and nowadays mega projects sell very well. Prices of 3-bedroom apartments here start from 2.4 million. Next, we visit the HDB flats here. Flats in Marine Parade are big because they were built in the 70s. For example, this very beautifully renovated high-floor 5-room unit in one of the best point blocks is nearly 1,300 square feet. Asking price is at 1.08 million. It's not low considering the age, but it's at 40% of any condos here that are much smaller. If you ask me, this is a good downgrade option for retirees. If the pricing doesn't look palatable to you, take a look at this 3-room HDB instead. It's near to Marine Terrace MRT, about 5 minutes walk, and it's asking for 600,000. Best thing about this unit is the view. Lastly, let's take a look at some of the shophouses that we can find in this district. First up is this cute 3-bedroom unit that has a land size of 800 square feet. At 3.9 million, the asking price is indeed high, but this is the market now. Otherwise, if your budget can be stretched a little, this bigger 1,100 square feet unit at 4.68 million seems like a more worthy option. I mean, just take a look at these pictures. So, in conclusion, if you love to stay in a district that fronts the sea, has access to an endless selection of dining options, and you're close to some of the best educational institutions, I guess you can't go wrong with Marine Parade. Prices of properties here have risen by quite a bit compared to 2 years ago, but there are still some good buys if you know how to hunt for them. So, if you need some help in looking for an ideal property to stay or invest in, feel free to contact me. And likewise, if you're looking to sell your place in Marine Parade or anywhere really, I'm just a text away. In any case, thank you for joining me on our tour of Marine Parade in this video. I have a fun time producing this episode, and if you had a great time watching this too, do like and subscribe to my channel, okay? Because I'll continue to unravel more of Singapore's diverse neighbourhoods in future episodes. Lastly, remember that for a personalised advice on anything property related, partner with me on your property journey. I'm Jessica, and I'm just a WhatsApp away to getting your dream home in Singapore. Look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. In the meantime, take care. Bye.